So I'd like to welcome everyone. Our topic today is the human conscience. One of the things that has emerged for us over the 10 years of study of the impact that contact with injustice has in the evolution of conscience has been that we've started to think about conscience in a more systematic way. We've learned so much from the subjects of our film and from the audiences when we've held screenings. And basically, we've just come to believe that this phenomenon of conscience is one of the keys to saving our planet. The potential of human beings to take action on behalf of others for altruistic reasons when their conscience is activated is incredibly powerful. In our culture, we tend to think of conscience as an intellectual phenomenon, as an idea. But actually, its root is an emotional identification with others. And if that emotional identification is strong enough, we begin to have feelings of concern about the well-being of others and feelings of obligation to protect the well-being of others. Without that emotional connection, no conscience. And the path of conscience is something that I'm sure many people in this room are familiar with. It's a conscious commitment to align one's life with one's values. And I think another very important component of it is the willingness to make the sacrifices necessary to maintain that alignment. It is not easy, as we all know. So we've identified what we call a 10-step cycle of moral development. And I'm going to go through these very quickly because what I really want to communicate is a picture in your mind of a wheel that has 10 spokes or 10 segments. And the idea is that to go through one complete cycle of moral development, a person advances through all these 10 steps. Sometimes it happens very quickly, or sometimes a person can get caught up in one step and be there for 10 years or a very long time. And it's a way of thinking about it. And the idea is that at each of these stages, there is a question, a dilemma that one faces. And I'll sort of go into that. So the first step, consensus consciousness, is the herd consciousness. What we think, what we feel, what we do is highly conditioned by what those around us are doing. And the question at this stage is just, am I willing to wake up and step away, step out of line, or am I going to pull back in to line? And in the turbulent, troubled times that we're living in, there's a strong desire or a strong drive to pull into the collective and find safety there. It's in our biology. It's very deep. There's a psychologist, Charles Tart, who researched this, and basically he said that we are each other's hypnotists. That when a person starts to wake up out of that group consciousness and move in a new direction, there's always helpful people that will step forward to get out the little watch and go back to sleep. And you really, when you're making a shift yourself, you often experience this active process of people trying to bring you back in, don't step out there. And it's a powerful phenomenon. So the second step is acknowledging the validity of the issue. So you become aware that there's an issue out there. Could be anything. Could be sweatshop clothing, animal issues, exploitation of indigenous peoples, whatever it is. And it first impinges on your consciousness, and there's a decision internally. Am I going to admit to myself, this is important, or am I going to shut it down and just slough it off? The next step is engagement. And that's, will I actively seek the facts, or will I just passively absorb? If information comes to me, I'll take it in. Like in my own journey with regard to animal consciousness, when I was in college, I became a vegetarian for ethical reasons because of a 5-minute conversation with someone. And I just hung out at that location for about 10 years or more. I really didn't advance. I didn't seek out information, and really not much came my way, so I just stayed there. And I didn't really learn what was happening. But once one does engage, and once one does start to actively take in information, the miracle happens, the miracle of awakening conscience. The moment when that emotional identification begins to happen with these others who are in some kind of difficulty or under some kind of oppression, and the conscience begins to come alive. And, again, there's very much a choice. And we definitely have the ability to say, la, 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 we don't want to hear it. I'm not going to allow that voice to rise up. Or will I listen to that voice and let it take me on a journey? The step of empowerment then becomes, will I seek a means of acting on my conscience? Will I just have this feeling of obligation or concern? It might even turn into guilt if one doesn't act upon it. And there's a kind of paralysis that occurs because we doubt our ability to be efficacious, to make a difference. So we can stay there. Then comes the step of action. And again, a crucial choice on the journey of conscience. Will my actions be governed by my principles, or will I travel down a path where the short-term outcomes, ends justifies the means, becomes my way of making a difference? And the idea of these questions and this dilemma is that if one makes the choice of conscience at each of these stages, it's like a rocket ship. You just gain momentum. You gain insight, you gain connection to the issue, and your moral development can happen at an incredibly fast pace. But our human situation is that change is difficult. Each of these stages presents stress. So there's that possibility to do what I did and hang out at a question for 10 years and just roll it over in your mind and really think about it. And when it comes to action, things start to get a little more complicated and more difficult. The world is very complicated. Social justice issues are very deep and difficult to grapple with. So what happens is anyone who takes a social justice issue seriously, who begins to really seriously work for change, begins to experience moral conflict and moral confusion because the world is so big, we are so small, there's so much to learn, and you can't figure it all out in the moment. So that begins to complicate matters. And when moral conflict arises, again, a choice. Will I do the hard work of maintaining that integration between my values and my actions, or will I start to compartmentalize? Look around the world. What creates the world we have? A deep root cause of it is that most human beings have one set of ethics for their family, one set of ethics for people that have the same ethnicity. We break our ethics into 1,000 shards, and our integration breaks, and we become ineffective, disoriented, and our lives start to become, again, more like a herd existence. It's not a conscious life. So this is a critical moment in the journey.